Welcome to the penultimate episode of Season 5 of Split the Difference. I'm your host, Jesse. Today we have Hope.
I'm back, baby. I know I was gone for a while, but I'm back.
Laptop was broken. We had to fix it. And we also have Seth.
You can't keep a good dog down. We're running this season out, baby.
We're almost done. Today we're talking about Scarface, the original film from 1932, directed by Howard Hawks, versus the 1983 remake, directed by Brian De Palma.
Woo!
So yeah, this is one that's been on the list for a while.
Yeah, I think season one we had someone mention it.
Yeah,
Scarface.
Somebody mentioned it. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, this has been a long time in the tank. And so I finally said, let's just get to it. We've been doing a lot of like heavy hitters this season, so let's knock this one off the list. So the original film, first off, I'm going to say a big positive, tight 90 minutes. Thank you. I very much appreciate that because my big negative, you two like to give me a lot of shit for complaining about the length of movies. I think we're all in agreement the remake is too fucking long.
It's a little bloated.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a marathon. It's a marathon.
Finally, we agree that one of these movies is too long. But we're not there yet. But with that out of the way, the original film, we've discussed the Hays Code multiple times on this show.
Yeah,
how it would influence movies.
For that.
Yeah, how it would influence movies, change movies, and this is no exception. This is a prime example of how the Hays Code was directly right up front in a movie, and it makes it feel a little naive because the original film opens with a disclaimer saying that this film does not endorse the level of violence and destruction that occurs within it, and it demands that the government do something about it. So for those that don't know anything about actual history, it turns out the government actually kind of began working in tandem with these gangs, not trying to squash them. So I think that this film is a little bit on the naive side. So, had either of you seen this original film?
No, honestly, I didn't even know that Scarface was a remake until you had told me. I thought that was an original Brian De Palma, just kind of a big home run out of the 80s. I didn't know it came from anything. So this was a weird watch.
Yeah. And the fact that it was dating in Prohibition times, like there's cocaine, which it's still an ongoing thing, but then we have like beer. The big thing was like just peddling beer, and I was like, ooh. And the funny thing is, I was like sitting there watching with the beer, and I'm like, oh,
right?
Yeah,
these Italians are dying for their fucking suds,
I know.
Man.
Yeah, the justification, the justification for why prohibition. Yeah, the justification for why prohibition happened, if you look at the reasoning, it's like, oh, so women just didn't want their drunk husbands to beat the shit out of them, so they said, let's ban beer. Maybe just don't marry assholes. You could do that too. But anyways,
we're not going to get into that because
that's a long storied history. We don't need to get into that, but that's the blunt answer. But yeah, this original movie, I was surprised for the time how active and like impressive and how quick it moves.
Oh yeah.
Also, there was a lot of like comedic bits in there that I wasn't expecting.
The very Laurel and Hardy kind of Three Stooges moments strung in throughout. Like you can almost see the early 1930s producer notes of like, well, hey, listen, Buster, this thing's way too serious. You need to you got to get some comedy in here.
Right.
That sounds exactly like the characters in the movie.
Right.
Yeah. Would you say that this is a little kind of stereotypical now?
In what way? In what way?
I mean, just the way that the gangsters would talk. It feels a little silly.
I mean, you also have to take into consideration there's a lot of Italian Americans at the time.
True.
They were going off of a time period, and
yeah,
where it might be like stereotype now, it actually was a bit more true to that time.
Is it like analogous to now when you watch something like 8 Mile and you go, wow, this is cheesy dialogue, but it is kind of close to how people talked at that time, but
Fair.
it's got like a air of movie on top of it, and I think that's what the remake ends up feeling really engrossed in its environment, and then I think this one I get what you're saying there, Jesse. It has like a sheen of this like kind of oddness that it's trying to reflect reality, but it's also kind of like playing it up a little bit, maybe a little too much.
Yeah. I will say the lead actor, Paul Mooney, his performance is incredible. It is really fantastic. Yeah. All the acting is genuinely
great.
Good.
No, like it was great acting across the board. It was a really good film. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. It was good all over.
It's weird to see like action noir in its heyday when it's not homage to anything, but it is just itself. Like that this is what people are homaging when they do, like even the mafia games now, like a lot of that is really modeled around like the culture that this movie's kind of centered around.
Well, this original film and the remake influenced a lot of things, and we'll get into that in a sec. But for now, I want to sort of compare and contrast these two films.
Sure.
So I know that one is significantly longer than the other. We've established that,
right?
But they follow the same general scene structure.
They do, and there's a lot of things that they pulled as well. I love how they pulled the signage from the original, The World Is Yours. And then they pulled that into the remake. I love that. And the fact that they were also able to parallel a lot, even though one's in New York, one's in Miami. So I did like that a lot. The fact that they was still able to stay so true to the original, even though it was pretty much way different.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same, but it's different, which is probably the proper way of doing a remake.
What I noticed was the original is very happy to have kind of slow burn montages where it's like it's visual storytelling that's happening. There's not a lot of dialogue. It's kind of moving you through. Hey, this is what happened over the next couple. Dude, the machine gun shooting the pages off of the calendar.
That's a great way to establish time.
Wow, like I love that kind of stuff.
So good.
And the remake decides instead to do all that in camera. Like I'm thinking about there's the scene when he's picking up the woman and they use the original line from the original film within the movie, but it's through a like Jaws push-in shot on the car as they're like walking outside the car and then getting into the car. So like they do all of this in camera as they like bring you into this conversation, and then they start quoting the original movie. So it's like where one of them's doing montage and clipping you through it, and then the remake says, let's take our time, let's just make this montage a whole scene. We'll put a whole scene around this one line just to show how much he loves her. Like they're kind of at odds with their filmmaking in respect to each other.
But I would still say that the original does it a little bit better because, like we said, the remake is a bit bloated. Like,
it's way cleaner.
Yeah. But that's also worth noting. There's Fathom Events. I love Fathom Events. I just watched Raiders of the Lost Ark in theaters a couple weeks ago. They're doing a special screening, I think, for an anniversary screening in November, and it's an extended cut of the remake, which taps out at, like, was it 210 minutes? That's 40 minutes longer than the current cut that's available. Like, what else do you need? Like, Jesus, that's longer than the Fellowship of the Rings theatrical cut. Why? It's just,
and that's going over a whole book compared to just the original IP. Yeah.
I want to believe that it's just like it's major Al Pacino fans. Like that's really who that is for.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not just Pacino, one of the biggest actors in the world. It is Pacino in one of his like star turn, like his Darth Vader. You know what I mean? Like this is his Heath Ledger's Joker. Like it's ascended into this legendary status now where people would take a 5-hour cut. I mean that kind of as a joke, but genuinely, there are people that would take a 5-hour cut just to get more Pacino in this role. And I think that's why the movie is so long. Like, it is so at odds with the art that they were creating and then telling a concise story, because this is a very concise story. This is a quick takeover of a gang. That's all that's really happening here.
Yeah.
It's a pretty straightforward narrative, but they bloated it out because the entire crew in the remake
Pacino can act, man.
Everybody was high on cocaine the entire time they were making the remake.
That's how you get that much footage from that kind of a shoot, right? Just if everyone's strung out on cocaine.
I mean,
I'm not tired.
They were on location, so...
Right.
Oh, Oliver Stone admits when he was writing the entire script, he was so fucking high the whole time that he had to leave Miami. He had to leave Miami and go to, I think he went to Amsterdam, like, to get as far away from that as possible.
Bro, yeah, you go get weed to come down from all that.
Yeah, you got to come down from that. Yeah. But anyways, the original film. Go ahead.
So, before we do compare and contrast, little story time. So, about a year ago, Jesse came to visit me in Florida. I live in Tampa, but my parents are down Fort Lauderdale, Miami area, so we went to them because they're living right on the beach. So we just spent some time there. And Jesse's like, I want to go to where they filmed Scarface, and I was like, okay, I'll take you there. It's like,
the
got
hotel.
you. And so we were on the strip trying to find this thing. We're trying to look for this landmark, And we're like, where's this landmark? I don't see the hotel. I don't see the stairs. What's going on? We searched, and Jesse finally put it in his in his maps, and he looked up. He's like, it's here. And we both turn, and it's a fucking CVS.
It's a CVS now. That's so disappointing.
It's a CVS. But we were like, well, hold on. So we went up, and they roped off, they chained off the actual stairs, and there's a plaque, and there's a plaque and everything that's saying it's Scarface for this scene, and but the fact that we both had a double take because we're like, no, it can't. CVS, no. So.
Yeah. The stairs are roped off. It's not a hotel anymore. They rope it off so that way I guess people don't go up there to commit vandalism or something. But it's just still weird that it's a CVS.
Alternative theory: it's a CVS because the receipts are so long you can turn them into cocaine straws. That's my pitch.
Well, no, because I actually even posted a photo to the Discord, and Seth's like, "Oh, that's nice. You look nice, Hope." And I'm like, "No, it's the stairs." And he's like, "It says CVS though," and I was like, "It's the stairs."
There's a little plaque that's right next to the stairs. So yeah.
Hey, cool Scarface CVS.
Right.
Jesus. I mean, it's normal that happens where sets will get destroyed or they're taken over or something like that.
I will chain myself to the Exorcist stairs.
Did you watch that movie Ghosted on Apple TV?
No.
They literally I worked on that movie for a couple days.
Yeah,
they literally used the Exorcist stairs for a scene. And I'm like, guys,
shit.
Don't. You can't use those stairs for anything else.
Get it? Because Ghosted.
Get it? They use it for convenience because it's there's no other big set of stairs in all of DC. And it's like, well, use the fucking stairs at the Capitol. Use anything else. You can't use that one.
Right.
But they did it anyways. By the way, the movie's not very good.
You're gonna wonder why.
Can I ever work on anything that's good? Can I just work on something that's good, please?
Dog, you were on Winter Soldier, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, 2 days. I did nothing. I did nothing on that.
Listen.
Hey, you saw Chris Evans'
ass.
You saw his ass.
You saw America's ass.
America's
you
ass.
saw America's ass.
America's ass, yes.
Well, speaking of American ass, that is what Scarface is into, right?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, these films are both about the same thing, achieving the American dream, which, as we've all learned in our year of our Lord 2023, is all bullshit.
Right.
It's apparently the new trend is now the American dream is to leave. So
I have many friends exiting the country. I understand. I get it.
Hardly live here now.
I was about to say I have dreams of going to Norway.
I've heard Finland is the nicest place. That's what I've heard.
Ooh.
But I'm teaching myself Norwegian, okay?
Jaguar Sharks European backpacking tour. Yeah,
Sure.
Yes.
Why not? But I'm not.
we can we'll do an episode on European vacation while we're there.
We'll go visit the filming locations of The Northman. We'll see what that looks like.
Oh hell yeah, that sounds awesome.
That
They
sounds fun.
filmed in Iceland, though.
Was it Iceland? I thought they filmed part of it in Norway or
No.
Finland, something.
No.
It's all Iceland? Oh,
Yeah.
well, then it's
'Cause it's cheap
way
as
out of our
shit.
price range.
No,
Okay.
Iceland is cheap as
No,
shit.
Iceland's cheap. Devin
I thought it
went
was
to Iceland.
expensive.
No,
No,
that's
Devin-
why they filmed there, because it's cheap as shit, because they need an increase in tourism and everything.
Because
So
there's
they
nothing there. It looks like that in the movies because it looks like that in real life. There's nothing there.
their biggest
Damn.
draw is their hot springs and their penis museum.
Yeah. It's just you get to
How
go
did
to
we
a
get here from
million-
Scarface?
right.
Because
Well, we were-
because they use their dicks to get the women. So Manny, he was like trying to get the women.
Oh God, Jesus Christ!
That's my loophole to get back to
Oh
Scarface.
God. So one thing I want to compare and contrast between these two is the relationship between our main character and the sister. So I want to
Mhm.
in the remake, it's clearly implied there's an incestuous relationship that Tony would like to have with his sister. That's not really present in the original, but it's hinted at.
Yeah, it's kind of there for the 30s Hays Code version of it, you know?
Yeah. This is, again, it's the Hays Code is interrupting, the progression of the film. And this is the character of Scarface in the original is very much inspired by Al Capone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you do any research about Al Capone, you find out that he, in many places, got away with the things he wanted to get away with.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, look into his look up a photo of his cell from Eastern State Penitentiary. It's like a hotel room.
Yeah.
It's like he was in cahoots with all of the guards, with all the military, with all the government officials that arrested him. He was paying off all these people to like give him a break while he was caught. Wasn't it for tax evasion? That's the only way they could get him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he lived out the rest of his life as a free man, although he had syphilis and died of horrible dementia. So, yeah, I saw that Josh Trank Capone movie, which is bad. So, yeah.
Oh no.
Well, there's a big
really boring.
There's a big thing though, how they set up the relationship with the sisters. So in the original, they all lived together, like in the same household. Whereas in the remake, he hadn't seen them for years and years and years. So in the original, like the implication is kind of there because he's been seeing her grow into this woman. Whereas like in the remake, it's like out of the blue almost. Because he had been separated for what they said, like 5-6 years. So that I thought was a little awkward, unless it's just like, oh damn, she went from a tween to a teen, and like that. Just I don't know, that's just really weird to me.
Well, the remake deals with the issues of Cuban immigrants coming in after oh god, what's it called, Seth? When we were cut off from Cuba, what was it?
Oh, the embargo.
The embargo, thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, when the embargo was lifted and we had an influx of Cuban immigrants coming into the Florida state, that's what that is. It starts out with political footage. It starts out with
it's actual footage of Castro.
Yeah, like that felt a little out of place, a little awkward. Like you're trying to make a political statement at the upfront in the movie, but then the rest of it feels like a hyper stylized take on the character. That's the one thing I was like, is this really the right time and place to be doing this?
Well, and it's insisting that you take it as reality, right? Like that's the idea.
This character can't exist. This character can't exist.
You'd be
surprised.
surprised.
But then Pablo Escobar is like doing 80 times this in his time. Like
I said, it's
but this is kind of like Americans' dream of like their perfect criminal. and then
Yeah.
Pablo Escobar just became that. Like, you can't dream something up and put it on screen and then allow people to aspire to it, because
Mhm.
it is still the American dream, and not everyone can differentiate that. Oh, hey, I actually don't want to be like this guy.
Mhm.
He's actually not a good guy to be like. That's why you insert things like, leans towards incest and stuff like that, is to give more obvious signs to maybe the less media savvy of people to go like, no, we're saying don't like this guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Both versions of this character are wretched and horrible, and you should never ever
right.
want to be like them. Yeah.
But like, if you still believe in the American dream after you're done watching this, the only way you can, I think, observe the character is to worship him. And I think that's reality. Like, we worship our drug dealers like this. They
I mean,
wear Scarface merch to like show off how real their drugs are. And so the movie,
yeah.
I think, is inviting that by putting that up front.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the original has been inducted into the National Film Registry because it is culturally significant, and
Totally.
I would agree with that. It's a near perfect movie. It's very well shot, looks great. The remake has not, and I would take issue with that. And that is the remake the most vile movie we've ever discussed on Split the Difference.
On Split the
I was
Difference?
about to say on Split the Difference,
Yeah.
possibly.
Oh no!
Yeah.
What we just
Or
did? We just did one recently about the guy that's following the family to kill, or to fuck with them.
Funny Games.
Funny Games.
No,
That's-
Cape Fear.
Not
Cape Fear.
Cape Fear.
Oh, Cape Fear. That's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I
that
think
one's
Cape
probably the most vile.
I think that leans a little more vile, but like, damn, this one's fucking up there though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's with Pacino's buddy De Niro.
Oh
That's
yeah.
right.
Oh god.
That's right.
Damn. Yeah.
The dastardly duo.
Yeah, dude, they
Yeah.
are a duo for sure.
Yep. They were in Heat together, so there you go.
There.
I would say that this remake should also be in the National Film Registry, because even if you don't like the movie, and I understand why someone would not like this,
Mm-hmm.
it's really kind of vile and gross and nasty, and it's way too fucking long. It's extremely bloated, and it does kind of celebrate this lifestyle for the majority of the runtime until the tail end, where it's like, no, don't like this guy. But you just spent like 90% of it saying this is awesome.
Right.
So, yeah, but I would say this also should be in there because this influenced so much of popular culture.
Oh
my
gosh, yeah.
Yeah, his appearance, like the music, like Grand Theft Auto as a game franchise wouldn't exist without
sure.
this. The entire soundtrack to this film is in GTA 3. The whole soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Vice City is literally just this. It's the same house in that game. It's the same appearance. It's the same shit. You have a mission where you go to a hotel and you kill guys with a chainsaw. It's the same shit.
Right.
Yeah, and like music.
Great
like,
scene, by the way.
great. Oh,
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
that's my favorite scene in the entire remake. I love that scene where he's like just gets dicked over by these other guys. It's like, oh, I love that scene so much.
And he thinks he's all smart, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna play this safe, guys." And it's like, "Nope, they already know your shit."
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Is Tony Montana an idiot?
A little bit. Oh yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they explain that he's even like, "I don't have an education. I come from dirt. I come from Cuba. Everything is all new to me. I'm not like the best, but I know the streets." And that's where he was coming from. So he basically said he is an idiot. He's dumb. He doesn't know shit. But he's like, I know the streets. I know the people on the streets. And that's how he rose, is because of that. Otherwise, he had dick.
Yeah.
See, I took that line to mean along the lines of like, despite all that, he's still as sharp as everyone else, and that his reach exceeds his grasp. That's where his idiocy is. It's like his blind spot is like right here, just right in front of his face. He can't like see himself for his flaws, and so I find it really interesting that like he would highlight the absence of education to people as like his kind of Rocky Balboa fight back spirit, and I love
Yeah.
the way that that's just hijacked. You know what I mean? Like you almost want to root for him. He survives, the chainsaw incident. You can't
Yeah.
help but be rooting for him at that point. And now it's like, damn, you're a fucking piece of shit. I
Yeah.
and the rest of the movie just like trying to get him off of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say that the one that doesn't have the education in the original is the character of Angelo, the his buddy that answers the phone.
Oh yeah,
That's it just doesn't know how to answer a phone. Can't get anybody's name right. I feel like they kind of swapped those characters a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
how sleazy is it to go for your boss's wife?
Oh, yeah, like, oh, what a scumbag, man.
Were
Both
they
of these
were they
characters are
married?
In both
yeah.
movies. In both movies, that was his wife in both movies, and it's not like a girlfriend. It's not like a side chick. It was his
It's his wife.
boss's wife.
Damn.
Like what? Because they basically in both movies, the women were like, "Well, how can we do this?" And they're like, "Oh, he's dead, so you're good." And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I guess that's one way to get divorced.
Problem taken care of.
Like,
You'll get the inheritance and everything.
right. So I'm just like, Jesus, like, that's real shisty.
I mean, it's trying to establish again the character is awful. He's in
Yeah.
That's
anybody that there's people that say in the remake and in the original that the character has a moral code. Bullshit. No, there is no like the bullshit. The one thing I absolutely hate in the remake, the scene where he's like, "I won't kill the kids." It's like,
Since
oh,
when?
that's his moral code. You've murdered literally every other molecule that's come into your existence, but
Right.
that's the one thing you won't do just so we can have a justification for the movie to end. Bullshit.
Right.
That I don't buy that at all.
It's also tough watching it in 2023 and him being like, I fucking hate communists. And it's like, oh, that's right. Tony Montana is just a straight capitalist. That's why I don't like him.
Yeah, this is just like, Tony Montana today is like governors, politicians. They're just
Right.
a little more quiet about what they do.
So
Yeah.
a little, I guess, a smidge of film rescue. If they were
Yeah.
going to do that in the remake, I feel like his sister should have been with a politician, and that's what should have been, instead of like wife and kids, it should have been his sister, because that would be more believable since he loved her so much. That because she was going out and doing things, And I feel like if she was with the politician, that would be his make or break, because that's his sister, that's his love, that's his everything. Not,
Yeah.
oh, I don't do kids. And that could have been easily written around. And then, like, they're I don't know, whatever. That's just my 2 cents. But obviously,
Yeah.
still a good movie, still works. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. There was discussion of doing another remake that Luca Guadagnino, who did the recap of Suspiria, was going to do, and it was written by the Coen brothers. Nobody knows what's in that script, and it got shelved.
Let's pop the lid on that baby.
It got shelved, I'm guessing, because of COVID, because it was being written in 2020, and it's been shelved. So they're just like, well, there's no reason to remake it because everything is like big tentpole blockbusters now. You're not going to get people to show up for another remake of Scarface. But that's what sucks.
Oh, well, here's the thing. Majority of people don't realize that Scarface is a remake. So if they say remake, they could be like the first in a lot of people's eyes. Because like Seth and I, we had no idea it was a remake until you showed it, and I was like, oh shit, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
think the main reason is because if you were to actually do a remake now, the people that it's criticizing and talking shit about, like the cocaine addicts, it's just the people that run the studio that made the movie.
Well, they would have to do something like how they did it in Prohibition and then Coke. They would have to do like, I would honestly
opioid crisis Scarface. That sounds
awful. I would say like fentanyl or something like that.
Yeah.
They would have to do it something like that, because that's the biggest thing right now is like fentanyl.
Or we could just rewatch Breaking Bad, which just Scarface. We
or
could
The
just
Wire
again. or The Wire. Yeah.
So and like look at the amplification of the drug as we go. We've gone from beer to cocaine to now fentanyl. Like the inverse has to happen to the stories where now they're getting sadder and sad. Like there's no good version of rooting for the guy that's passing out fentanyl. No one's watching that. No one's gonna go see that movie.
Yeah, like same thing with the ending of Breaking Bad. Like it ends on a dour, depressing note. It's like
so then like your options are obvious 80s nostalgia bait, which like if it's good enough, you get to go to the Oscars for good like set design. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's what we want to see. Scarface for set design.
An Oscar bait movie.
Right.
Like, that's the best you can do. You can't do the fun version anymore because Grand Theft Auto has kind of taken that.
Well, I was about to say because life sucks now.
If
life in America sucks.
If you want to stay true to the idea, doesn't the new Scarface look at maybe a little more like Juice World dying? You know what I mean? Like somebody you can actually get your head around rooting for, even though there's a lot of, bad stuff mixed up in there. It's like, this is a good, talented person that's like in the rap industry and then, kind of revitalizing the drug image and then they pass away. Like that's a good... That's a real world. I'm not saying they should make a Juice WRLD movie. Sorry, before
they already kind of did. It was a documentary.
Yeah, but like you build a story around that kind of person, and that's your new Scarface. If you have to do like, an image rescued drug addict.
Yeah,
you don't do cocaine. Like no, Pablo Escobar's the bad guy in everything.
And they already did Narcos.
They already did Narcos.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like you're already done. Like it's done. It's memed everywhere. That one's done.
South Park fucking did the shit out of a parody.
Like South Park doesn't go a week without mentioning this remake. Like there's a whole sequence of Cartman literally like what was the medicinal fried chicken episode?
Yes, I love that episode so much. Oh,
when Cartman's head literally explodes when he finds out that Kentucky Fried Chicken has been banned in Colorado.
Right.
And it's just an explosion on his face. I died laughing.
The fact that he was snorting chicken skins.
We had a little problem, Colonel. We had a little problem.
They even parodied the helicopter scene. He's like, he's all choked. He's all choked.
Don't you try to fuck me, Eric. Don't you ever try to fuck me.
Dude, like...
permeates through the culture.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like the original has a much more serious tone to it. Yes. It's much more kind of like this is shit that actually happened and is based in reality.
Yeah.
The remake, it's I'm using Paris again. It's just Grand Theft Auto. Like looking at it now in retrospect, it's the hyper stylized. It's hyper accentuated in terms of what it's supposed to mean. Just it was made in the 80s, and the 80s was a decade of excess. The film is literally a celebration of excess, which is why there's a bloated runtime.
Yeah,
I'm getting flashbacks of Jesse's and my dinner when we're sitting outside, and he's like, "I stole that car in Grand Theft Auto. I stole that car in Grand Theft Auto."
It was nice.
I was trying to have a nice dinner, and he's just looking at the cars like, "I stole that one. I stole that one, but it was a different color. I stole that." I was like, "God damn it, Jesse, eat your shit."
Hey, there's literally a crane shot in here that goes down to the Carlisle, right where we were sitting, out front. Yeah, okay, so that's kind of cool.
When I was in LA, the car that I had rented an SUV and they didn't have it, and so they ended up giving me like an upgrade, and they put me in a red Chevy, and it looked like one of the nicer cars in Grand Theft Auto, and then I'm rolling around LA going like, "Holy shit, I'm in Los Santos. All right, this feels about right."
By the way, I just was like watching GTA 5 footage recently. Why is this whole town an island?
Reasons.
Yeah, because the world map of Grand Theft Auto is murky at best.
Okay, just curious. That was all. Anyways, so getting back to the original, is there anything you'd say is a negative in the film that doesn't work?
I think that the comedy bits are.
I was just about to say the same.
Yeah, I get it, and the character's cute. Like, I don't think the character needs to go anywhere. I don't think he needs plugging
Angelo,
beer.
you mean? The guy that answers the phone.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need him like plugging beer bullet holes and shit like that. It's like
it feels like Groucho Marx stuff.
That's exactly what it is. Like
it's like
they're appealing to that
it's
audience.
Marx Brothers comedy. Yeah.
Well, and you got to think it's the 1930s. They don't have like niche groups that the Harry Potter fans come out and the Marvel fans come out and the Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like they kind of had. Do people like comedies or do they like action? Well, we're gonna give them both, and maybe we'll get like that's how they're thinking back at this time. So I think that's why it feels so out of place, because it feels like that just like jammed in. Well, we got to appeal to the people who like the talkie comedies, right? And it's like, I know what that note looks like today.
If they're gonna keep the comedy, at least maybe minimalize it. Like,
the
whole bit where he's on the phone and they're shooting up the restaurant and he doesn't get hit by any bullets and he's still trying to get the name. They could have cut that out.
That felt like there's a scene in Superman 2 when the three Kryptonians land in the street and they blow over. They use their super blowing ability. That's a added thing, but they like a guy in a phone booth falls over and he's still talking on the phone.
It's
like it's literally the same scene. I'm like, it doesn't fit there or here.
They could have kept the whole like running gag where he couldn't get the names. They could have kept that, but I feel like that specific scene is what kind of pushed me over the edge. I'm like, he didn't get hit once with all those bullets and trying to like that was a bit much. Like I could understand they like do the first part and then as soon as the bullets hit he would drop. Like that would have been better, I think.
Yeah. For all the realism the original tries to have, there's still those moments where it's like that didn't fit. And I would still say keep it because this is culturally relevant. Like it is important to film history. It's important to cinema. This is when Pacino watched this movie. He gave an interview and he said he just randomly saw the film and he said, "Oh, this is fantastic. I'd love to do a remake." And just coincides with, "Hey, we're planning a remake. You want to do it?" "Yeah, I want to do it." Just the stars just aligned perfectly and everybody was just on board to do it.
Wow.
So it's just random coincidence that he was walking down the street and he just walked into a theater and was like, "Oh yeah, let's go see this movie." He had never seen it. He had heard of it, but he'd never seen it. Yeah, just totally random. Just that shows that the remake should exist. No matter how vile it is an important movie, which is why I think it should also be in the National Film Registry. How can you have this much influence on culture in America and it's not in the National Film Registry?
Give it some time.
That's probably the
It's been 40 years. Literally 40 years.
How long did it take for the original to get in, though?
Is De Palma still alive?
Yes, he is still alive. He's retired, but he is still alive.
I'm curious if that'll be a posthumous kind of button for him. Because think about what it is that you're asking here kind of directly, like to appreciate a movie that is directly made kind of in opposition to ideals that we hold now, to celebrate them unabashedly. And then to say that goes into this film registry, like they're basically kind of saying like we agree with at least enough of this to get it in here. That's an interesting stance to make if the filmmaker isn't also already passed away, or like something like to make sure it's not forgotten. But I think while he's still alive, to induct it would be I think it would be a strong opinion for them to take, specifically because of how like. Think about how tied our government is to that era. That's your Reagan era pushing this stuff into the streets. This isn't hearsay. These documents are available for you to find. Like Ronald Reagan pushed drugs into the streets, and this movie is a reaction to and an addition on top of that.
Yeah, I just looked it up. The original Scarface was inducted in 1994.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was made in 35.
60 years after
32. So it took
a little more time.
Yeah, so just give it some time.
So it's a race. It's a 20-year race. Let's see how this pays off.
Right.
Which one gets inducted?
Let's all meet back up in 20 years.
Which one will have the shorter induction period? I'm rooting for Scarface remake. Maybe at 50. 50 years would be like the perfect little kiss button put on.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, because this is literally 40 years
Yeah.
since it was released. I think November of the original was released.
Wow, imagine going to see this in November. You got to put a jacket on to go out.
December 1st,
Wow.
1983 is when they came out. Mm-hmm.
All right. How many people do you think saw snow on the ground seeing this movie and then made a cocaine joke on the way home?
I mean,
Right?
or you could be like me who lives in Florida and didn't have.
Yeah, you're making a very different kind of joke down there.
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
You're making don't run into Tony Montana jokes down in Florida.
Pretty much like, oh shit, he's right around the corner.
Right.
It is interesting that the remake, originally Sidney Lumet was hired as the first director, not Brian De Palma.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he was the original. And if you know about Sidney Lumet, he had a very different kind of style. It's much more matter of fact, much more kind of documentary style. And
Yeah.
he did Dog Day Afternoon, and he didn't like to use non-diegetic music in his films. He always liked to just have the music is playing on a radio in the film or on a record player. He would never like lay audio over top of the film.
Yeah.
So it's like a documentary. You're just watching the events happen. That would be a very different kind of movie if that was
yeah,
like totally different. And part of me wants to see that version, but a part of me is kind of like, no, I like the version we have now.
Yeah, don't fuck with it.
I could see that version being a cult classic, but never having the cultural impact.
Yeah,
I just don't see documentary or just even a more realistic style. If that's what they would have gone with, I don't see that turning into the whatever Scarface has turned into. You can't even see the black and white poster in another country without like knowing that you're looking at Scarface. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
and also,
so iconic.
Yeah, that poster's been copied and pasted over and over and over again. My God, it became a visual cliche.
Yeah.
Dude, my MySpace had the Chris Griffin Scarface.
Gosh.
Dude, even to the point where, like, was it Rambo 4 used that in one of their posters?
Probably.
It's like the black and white, like, juxtaposed against each other. Like, you know, like, juxtaposing color schemes for a film poster. Like, that's normal now. It's like one of the things that you can choose in fucking Photoshop.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's like
hit
I said,
him with the old cyan and orange. You know what I mean?
Oh man, yeah. The only exception I make to that is Mad Max Fury Road because that was beautifully shot.
Truly. Well, that was meant for those colors, like that.
It was
shot in the place where it's supposed to be.
That's the setting. So
yeah, that's what the desert looks like. So with regards to the original film, how do we all feel about the ending where he's a giant coward?
It makes sense. Honestly, it makes sense because everything was handed to him. He thought he was hot shit because he could get away with it. And once a person's backed into reality, it comes crashing down. It really does. And it showed how little he truly was. So it makes sense. It makes sense because he was like, oh, I'm hot shit. No one can touch me. And then as soon as he realizes he can be touched, that's human nature, man. That's human nature. Like you can go into any, like, even a war setting, you know, unless you're specifically trained for like anti-interrogation or things like that. Like you can be the most macho, fearless person in the military, but once you're put in that position where you're completely helpless, you're going to revert back to primal survival scaredness. Like so it makes sense to me. Yeah,
it's a much more realistic ending. Compare that to the remake's ending.
Well, the remake, he is so fucking high. He doesn't even know what's the floor and what's the ceiling. Like he I don't know how he didn't have a heart attack before.
Right.
He fucking
oh my God, just like dumps his face into a giant pile of cocaine, just comes up and just like, just dude, if you were on that much coke,
Right.
you'd be dead.
Ah. mm,
Hey, look, we all saw Cocaine Bear. Maybe that happens.
I was gonna say I am very close to some people who family
Have gone on
members.
You can condition yourself to do a lot of coke. You
Um,
can
God.
condition yourself to do a lot.
a certain family member of mine back in the 80s said that he could outdo Scarface, and I believe him.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
But
now
like,
he
imagine
would die if he did that now, but like
Right.
back then, I believe it.
Well, and
God
like,
damn.
imagine waking up every single morning with just the wonderful taste of blood pulling in the back of your throat, because that's what it'll
Ugh.
do to you when you do it in that amounts.
What it was it like? Was it Artie Lang was in court for like he had a broken nose or something like that, and he said that he had to get surgery in order to fix his broken nose, but if he did that, he couldn't do cocaine anymore. So he said, "I'll just live with a broken nose."
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. If you want to talk about a pathetic human being, Artie Lang.
Poor guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, and fucking,
he did it to himself, but don't say poor guy. Don't feel bad for him. He's an asshole.
I feel bad about a life whose circumstances lead to that. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of bad things stacked on top of each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, he's a train wreck.
Well,
But,
and that's the kind of characters we're talking about in the movie, right? Like
Yeah,
Tony Montana is nothing more than a stack of all the bad behaviors and not correcting them. Like he's just a cascade of bad choices catching
Yeah.
up on himself. I think, and maybe that's why the original ending works so well, is like he figured out the game enough to know that everybody's fronting, right?
yeah,
That was his magic bullet in the original film, is he knows everybody else is not willing to back it up, and he knows he can, because we see the movie open with him pulling the trigger. We know that he can, right? And so by the time all that catches up with him at the end, I hate the movie for making me root for the cop, but the cop was dead right? He was like, listen, I told you it was going to end up this way, because the cop knew that he'd figured out the trick to get to the top, but hadn't figured out the trick to stay there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
But
like,
again, it's like, that makes the film kind of like propaganda in a way, because it is
Right.
basically saying like, yes, the gangsters are the really, really evil ones. But then you look at the history of it, the U.S. government was very much working alongside a lot of these people.
yeah.
Like, so
don't get any of that communism near us. Oh God.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of lies. It is still a critically important film, but it does come across as naive that any person in the audience would ever buy into it.
Right.
Like, this is all bullshit. It's okay. And that's why I think that if you were to do a remake now, you'd have to have the government directly working with this guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Pretty much.
There was reports of was it during Vietnam that there was reports of the government pushing heroin onto the streets. Well, no, it was the 80s. It was the 80s, pushing heroin onto the streets and through the CIA. That happened.
Yeah.
That happened. Like,
they make a joke about that in American Dad, where Stan's like, I'm not supposed to be taking this, I'm supposed to be pushing it on the streets.
Exactly. Like that's exactly what happened. Like, if you're gonna do a remake now, you'd have to do that. Have the government directly involved.
Oh, how great would that be? Like, as a setup within your movie, you hire like 3 or 4 big name actors to be the core like government group that gets in contact with Scarface, right? And then when they finally come in for the kill on him, they get intercepted by somebody higher up that's involved in the drug trade, and then you just exit those actors from the movie, just entirely get rid of them. Say like, nope, actually, here's your new government handler. We're happy that you're pushing drugs out on the street. We're gonna make this work for you guys. Dude, what a turnaround for a movie to just get rid of people after the first 20 minutes in the first cop showdown.
Isn't that kind of the ending of A Clockwork Orange?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Kind of.
What about
but for the cops instead?
Yeah, there you go. It's kind of the ending of A Clockwork Orange, where the government's like, you've done such a good job for us. We would love to work with you, Alex.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That's the ending of that Daniel Kaluuya Black Mirror episode, where he's in the place where you like exercise for your for your food and stay.
Oh,
and then,
yes, that's
he,
right.
he speaks out against it, and then they're just like, "We love that you speak out against it." And it's like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, he didn't escape the cycle. You can't.
Yep. By the way, Black Mirror is returning. Thank God.
Oh,
I'm so excited.
Is it just going to be like live security footage from around the United States?
This is how miserable is the world. I love in 2020 the creator of that show is like, we're not making new episodes because the world sucks enough as it is. So.
I have an idea. I have an idea for an episode submission for Black Mirror.
Go ahead.
It's a 24-hour live feed of Ron DeSantis's house, streaming on Netflix. What's the storyline? You know what?
Whatever
we're gonna
happens,
find out.
happens.
Oh my God.
Oh God. Oh man, that'd be great.
That's dystopian, right? And then and it's perfect because he's the star, and it would just drive him insane to know that Netflix is just, why are they streaming my house? It's made up. This isn't even your house. It's for the show. Duh.
Perfect.
Oh shit.
So, did you guys ever play the video game that came out a couple years ago?
A Scarface video game?
Yeah, it's called The World Is Yours. It's meant as a what if. It's a what if story where what if Tony survived the attack on the mansion?
That's so silly. That's so goofy.
The game is
what would even happen?
He doesn't get shot in the back. What happens is he kind of hears the guy with the shotgun walking up behind him. He turns around and shoots him, and then the tiger comes and eats the guy.
And then he rides the tiger into the sunset, like
right.
He escapes out the back of the mansion. You fight your way out, and then you hide out, I think, in Cuba for about 3 months, and then come back and rebuild your empire. It's literally just the plot to Grand Theft Auto Vice City, but with Tony Montana.
That is some fanfic revisionist.
It is just
bullshit.
fan fiction. It is just fan fiction. Some of the actors did come back to play their characters or to play different voices. Like the guy that did the voice of Manny, played Manny. He's back. Robert Loggia was a narrator. So they did have
look this up.
Yeah, Pacino was not available to do his voice because his voice had changed so much because he's a massive chain smoker. Right. So he selected a different person
and also
to impersonate
he's a fucking father again.
Isn't he like 85 and his girlfriend is like 23?
And she's preggers, like the kid's about to pop.
Still shooting live rounds.
Ew.
Oh, she's like 33. She's like 33, but that doesn't make it better.
Didn't he invent like people saying cojones like that? Like he's the balls guy. Of course his balls still work at 85.
Yeah. Is this the most but anyways, for the game is like it's fine. I played it. It's fine. Basically the whole point of the game is just take down Sosa. That's it. That's the whole plot. Just reclaim the empire, take down Sosa. That's the whole plot.
Okay, so
I love how they wrote like so much to get to just
it was
reset
made in
Tony
2006,
Montana.
2007.
Yeah. It was like a PS2 Xbox game.
They go out of their way to just reset Tony Montana when they literally could have just said something like somehow Scarface returned. You know?
So there is a screen cap where he has a chainsaw again, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only redeeming factor. Otherwise, it looks dumb as shit.
You can tell they kind of cut corners while they made the game because the radio that plays in the game, there's no like in Grand Theft Auto you have different stations, different genres of music. It's just music.
Dude,
it's just like songs played end to end. It's like there's no like DJ or anything.
They had better graphics in 2006, 2007, and this looks straight out of like fucking Marvel versus Capcom in an arcade had better graphics than this.
No, that looks like PlayStation 3, like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Yeah.
It was not great. It had moments, but it wasn't great. So
isn't the Max Payne game essentially like the best Scarface game that you could ever get? The
Max
new
Payne is a cop though.
Yeah, but in the new one, isn't he like not really a cop anymore?
He's a private security person.
Okay.
He's private security. Yeah.
Well, that's essentially what Tony Montana does for Richard, right?
True. Yeah. Is this remake the most quotable of all the films from the 80s?
It's up there. I'd say top 5 or top 3, but
Yeah, when you say all the films of the 80s, I look at 1985 with side eyes of how many things I could quote from just that year. I do
True.
think this is the most like zeitgeist, like more people know Scarface quotes than probably many other kinds. Like even if you quoted Star Wars at somebody, you might lose them.
Yeah.
But they'll probably get a "say hello to my little friend." You know what I mean? Like I can't imagine people would. I feel like you could say that in English in another country and they would just understand it from context.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say it's kind of like the Pulp Fiction of its day. Because it was one of the movies where you could just watch it, even if it's in another language, you just know what everyone's saying.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
it's just so easy to follow. Yeah. What do we think of Brian De Palma as a director? I've always had very mixed feelings on him as a director. Tarantino
Really?
loves him. I personally have like maybe like a couple of movies that are pretty good. I like Blowout, and I think Carrie is like half of a good movie. It's a really like dumb teen drama, and the last 20 minutes is what you remember. Tell me anything about the first 10 or 20 minutes of that movie that does, and tell me anything that does not involve the killing at the school. Tell me anything about that film that does not involve the killing at the school.
How she was like abused by her mother and controlled by her mother, and the fact that she was so abused and sheltered, she didn't even know what her period was. And that's really impactful. And yeah, I'm also coming at this as a woman, as a female.
True.
So like knowing that standpoint, a guy's gonna be like, okay, she got a period. For me, that's like a huge event in a girl's life.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that she was sheltered from that's a big thing. So I mean, that's it. It's a huge. We're gonna go on a tangent because this is gonna come from like a female perspective to a male perspective of this movie. So
sure. Yeah, well, and like I think post Carrie, he had some pretty heavy hitters. Like, I mean, first Mission Impossible's in there. I really like the first Mission Impossible.
Honestly, it's the only one that actually feels like an actual Mission Impossible movie.
Right.
If I'm being honest.
Right before that, he does essentially Scarface 2. Carlito's Way is Al Pacino as a gangster again.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I forgot about Carlito's Way.
Yeah. So I think De Palma was like. He strikes me as somebody who is so interested in culture that he didn't want to explore it super deeply. He just wanted to kind of communicate the visuals and the feelings that he would get in these new interesting situations he would look into as a creator. And I think that really shows in his art because it really captures the feeling well, but as we know, it doesn't quite capture the story of the time super well. And I think that's his weakness as a director. Like, what's the plot to the first Mission Impossible? You know, like
yeah.
Like, I remember scenes. I don't know what the plot is.
I know how seeing like fucking what's his name, Estevez, getting hit by the thing in the elevator and getting his face smashed. I know how that made me feel. Like I've got feelings for the bullet train. I know how that feels, but the plot, I don't fucking know. Carlito's Way. Ask me to tell you what Carlito's Way is. I have no idea. I do not remember. I remember Pacino being really cool in it. You know what I mean? Like I think that's De Palma's great at vibes. He's really great at vibes. I think he would hate to hear that because that's such a Gen Z thing to say about him. But the man is stellar at vibes.
Yeah. He hasn't done that much recently. He has since retired, I think. There was a documentary that was...
he did the Black Dahlia. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think was that the last film he did?
Was Domino after or before that?
No, he's
Domino was Tony Scott.
No, different kind of Domino, buddy.
Yeah, he did Domino.
With Zahn, with Steve Zahn. He did like a red box. Dude, I'm not kidding. Go look it up. He did like a straight to red box movie in 2019.
No.
He did Spielberg?
Well, he was part of the filmmaking. This is one thing we want to touch on. That he was part of the filmmaking group of him and Coppola, Scorsese, and Spielberg. Like
and Lucas.
The documentary.
Lucas
Spielberg.
Zemeckis. Yeah.
No, the documentary Spielberg.
Oh no, it was another documentary that was just about him. It was just it's like just
like
him.
it's coming up. He was the main person who did the documentary of Spielberg.
Huh.
Oh, okay. I was talking about.
Never mind.
I was talking about a different documentary. Yeah, there's the 2015 documentary De Palma, directed by Noah Baumbach. Yeah, the guy that did Squid and the Whale and just did White Noise on Netflix, a movie I fucking hate. I hated that movie. Couldn't stand it.
Anyways, he's. I would say he's more of a vibe.
Yeah, De Palma is a vibes guy.
Yeah. Okay, so you still make it. Yeah, Domino. It's a Ooh.
Now, was it De Palma that did rewrites on the opening crawl for Lucas? I feel like that was the other.
He wrote the opening crawl. He wrote the opening crawl for Lucas for the first Star Wars.
Dude, again, vibes. The dude knows how to set the fucking tone.
And there's 2 movies upcoming that he's doing. So.
Oh.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
Go get him, Brian De Palma.
Yeah. But yeah, that filmmaking group. We haven't really had a group like that. Like that American Zoetrope group.
The Rat Pack of the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of had one in the mid 2000s, the Splat Pack. There was Eli Roth, it was Tarantino was in there, Alexander Aja, Rob Zombie, like that's a lesser version. How many of those movies are worth remembering?
Right.
It's like I don't need to remember.
It's their trailers for the Grindhouse double feature that are worth remembering.
Yeah, like I don't need to rewatch Cabin Fever. You know, I'm good.
Oh, God,
I kind of like that movie though.
It's got okay scenes, but it's just
pancakes.
Oh, geez, the Pancakes Kid. God damn it.
And hey, not gonna lie, as a girl of the 90s, I did kind of have a crush on Ryder Strong, so
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does.
Whatever happened to him?
He did Cabin Fever.
Oh, yeah.
Was that good for anybody's career but Eli Roth?
I don't think so. I don't think any of those actors have been in too much since then. Jesus. Oh, God. So yeah,
no, I agree. We need a new director pack. A bunch of directors that just like do each other's homework together.
We have a pair. We have like Robert Eggers and Ari Aster. We have them, but who else
are
did
they
you put
pals?
In there?
Like they're not doing stuff on each other's movies.
No, I think they just kind of like they are aware of each other's work.
That's what he's saying. Like we need like buddies.
We need
a group.
Yeah. Like we need people passing their homework to each. I love the shared homework of like De Palma doing rewrites on Star Wars and like Spielberg and Lucas having so many thoughts on Coppola and the stuff that he was doing, and like they really informed each other a lot.
Yeah,
and
to the point where I found this out. Spielberg directed parts of the action scene at the end of the remake.
Yeah,
Spielberg directed part of this movie and is uncredited. It's like, that's great. Like, I love the fact that he's like, I want to show scenes of people getting shot. Sure, why not?
Absolutely. You know, and then he gets to bring in his friends in the industry. Like that's I don't see that happening. Although, actually, Jesse, you're gonna hate this. Did you know that the director of Elemental has a Spider-Man voice in Across the Spider-Verse because he's buds with those animators?
Oh, God, no.
Just found that out recently. That was... It's funny because they're literally in competition with each other in the theaters right now. You know what I mean? Like,
it's true.
And yet they're like, I see people attempting. I do see the attempt. Maybe this is something that's going to come back. Maybe that'll, dude. I'd love to see Robert Eggers be like, "Hey, I'm passing notes with Greta Gerwig." You know what I mean? Like she's giving me good shit and like making me sound like a human being instead of a frightening robot man of history.
Oh, I can't wait for Barbie.
Oh God, Barbie Oppenheimer double feature.
I can't wait to see those two next to each other in a theater.
Yes.
Dude, I
which one's going to win? Which one's going to win? Place bets now.
I can't wait to be sitting in the theater knowing when the explosion in Oppenheimer is going to happen.
Yes. I need to go to a theater just to see their layout. Like, I'm going to be like, I don't want to watch a movie right now. Can I just see your layout? Like, you can escort me. I just need to see how you structured this.
Oh God, Jesus Christ!
What a summer it's gonna be.
Yeah. We're getting way off topic now,
Yeah,
but I think that
we should wrap.
we should start wrapping
probably.
up.
Let's reel it
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, so we've agreed that these are both quality movies. It's just
Holy
the remake.
shit, yeah.
The remake is just a little bloated. It's just a little, and it's if you don't like films with this level of obscene violence, and doesn't Pacino say "fuck" like 230 times or something like
Yeah.
that?
Oh yeah,
It's
something
like
like that.
yeah, I think if you can't stomach this level of gruesomeness, I get it. I understand why people don't like this remake, but I would still say it is worth watching at least once. Yeah.
Or at least a highlight reel, something.
Yeah. If nothing else, to understand how it influenced popular culture, like music, television, video games, like other feature films, filmmakers, like just South Park can't go a week without mentioning this movie.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Jesse, let me ask you for my last question. Do you feel the remake is more bloated now, having seen the original and knowing how streamlined it can be? Is that adding to how bloated it feels?
Oh, absolutely. Like it tells the exact same story. There's the same scenes. It's just you can just feel like that they really just kind of, it's like a piece of taffy where you pull it and it stretches and stretches, but it gets thinner and thinner. It's like it still can be one piece of taffy, but it's just so long. It's twice the runtime.
That's a perfect visual metaphor. That is exactly what it feels like. The original's like your taffy in the package just ready to go, and then the remake is just that same piece spread out to look like more candy.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. It's the same scenes. It's the same story. It's just longer and more filthy. But I would still say they're both worth watching.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I have taffy in my house.
You are in the taffy state, so.
That is true. True. So yeah, there you go. Both are worth watching. So I'll announce our final episode for season 5. We're doing Dawn of the Dead.
Whoa.
Because it's obligatory.
Yeah.
It's obligatory.
It's time.
And we kind of have to. We kind of have to. Everybody knows my hate of Snyder. I know, but that's the one movie where I'm like, yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad, you know. But we're gonna go in. I haven't watched it in like 10 years.
Me
either. But the original.
I know. We're gonna get into it. Yeah. Also, I think on YouTube is the extended cut, which is impossible to find now because of fucking rights issues. My God, the rights issues. The rights issues deal with that remake, with that original film, is so much more interesting than the film itself.
Oh my God.
The film itself is good. It's very interesting.
I was about to say, shut your fucking whore mouth.
the rights issue problems with that movie and its different releases is like a fucking science experiment gone wrong.
Damn,
it's so wild. Yeah.
Poor Romero and his poor name. Oh my God.
Yeah, but we will get into that next time. So thank you guys for jumping on to talk about this wonderful pairing of films.
Thank you for dealing with my laptop issues.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm thankful my internet didn't die while we were recording this. Right at the beginning, the internet crapped out in my house. I was like, wow, look at that. Wonderful.
Damn. Killer.
It's all good. It's all good. And with that, good night.
Good night.
Bye.